I mean, true. That's so real. Girls, make sure you're not out alone at night. Have a buddy. Buddy system. Hello, welcome on in. Are you guys ready for some chaos head? It's been a hot minute. Um God, do I remember what the skip button even is anymore? I don't think I do, actually. I think I forgot. Never? Oh, come on, you had multiple weeks to mentally prepare this time. But, this time we'll be going for Yua, which will be interesting, to put it lightly. I do remember the buttons. Yeah. Yep, you are talking to Nishijo. Now, isn't this fun, just skipping through the game? I mean, isn't it great that I'm not too sick to stream this? Isn't that cool? I think I like that. Okay. I was gonna be like, wait a minute. What if that was the thing that I had to, like, have a specific delusion with for Yua, but, like, Yua's supposed to be neutral anyway, so even if it was, we're fine. It was just a coincidence. No. I'm hallucinating. No. Whoever did it is inside this school. Yes. They were taunting me. Yes. I want to erase it now. Yes. Oh. I already got the achievement for discovering you a story, so I guess that was the delusion. Damn, that's early. Good thing that worked out. Okay, I'll try to be more careful in the future. I think that's the only one that's for that delusion, though. Yeah. Or no. Oh, Rimi's also gonna be for that one, too. Actually. Okay, well, when we do Rimi, I need to make sure I'm paying the fuck attention then. Cause, yeah. Well, we're already on Yua's track, but the route doesn't officially start till chapter 7, so we're gonna have a lot of skipping to do, but there'll be some more Yua sprinkled in as a result. So there'll still be some new stuff up until then. Not much, but stuff. Hello, what's gotten into you? Mizumi walked up to me and grabbed me by the shoulders to shake me. Are you listening? Yo, Taku. Every word in that phrase was commonly used. It was just some stupid scribbling. I tried to tell myself that, but I started to feel really creeped out. In the end, I quickly erased them, hoping that nobody was watching me. Shibuya Station in the early morning has a very different face than it does during the day. There were very few teenagers. It was mostly company men and women in suits, packing the train cars full as they headed from the station to their destinations. Somehow, they seemed slow with exhaustion and in a hurry all at once. And the students looked the same way. But there weren't that many Suime Academy students around. To get to Suime from the station, you had to walk for at least 20 minutes. You had to climb up Dogenzaka Hill too. Most Suime students who used the trains got off at Shinsen Station, the station nearest the school. Yua Kusunoki, however, always chose to walk to school from Shibuya Station. She had to wake up a little early to do it, but she didn't mind. Shibuya Station was jam-packed with people, but once you went up Dogenzaka Hill, there weren't nearly as many pedestrians. You enjoyed walking in the fresh morning air. She also liked to watch the news on big televisions outside Shibuya station. And this morning, like always, she was looking up at the big O-front TV as she waited for the signal to change. She gasped, shocked. Text ran from right to left across the bottom of the screen. When she read the text third new generation case, the first thing she thought of was a boy's face. She never met the boy, never talked to him. She just seen his face yesterday morning, but that was more than enough for her to be sure that he was behind the new gen killings. You good? Oh, I saw Takumi's face once in the morning. He's the killer. Really? She could remember what had happened clearly. Okay. It was at 7 a.m. on the previous day, inside Tsuyame's academy school building. No one else had arrived at school yet, and Yuma was hurrying through the empty hallways. She had a stern look on her face, and her eyes were locked dead ahead. There was no hesitation in her stride. She stopped in front of a classroom. Outside of it was a sign reading 2C. She looked up at it once, and went inside without even pausing for a moment. It wasn't her class. She was a third-year student, and normally, she'd have no reason to go inside this classroom. Normally, yes. But today, she had a reason. She slowly looked around the empty room, and then headed to the blackboard. She looked at the red, yellow, and white pieces of chalk for a moment, before settling on a brand new piece of white chalk. Then, she began to write something on the blackboard, taking care to make her handwriting look a little worse than it actually was. So then Takumi's reaction to it... Okay. Whose eyes are those? She whispered the words she'd written aloud. She set the chalk down and glanced around the classroom again. How will react, I wondered. She whispered to no one in particular. Will you not react at all? Will you be surprised? If you panic and try to erase it, that means... She spoke softly, even though the classroom was empty. That means you're the killer. I'll be watching in secret. I'll be watching. You don't know my face at all, but I know you. I know you. I know your face. I know you. And that's why I'll be watching. I'll be watching to see how you react when you see what's on the blackboard. I'll be watching very carefully. Do you hear me, Takumi Nishijo? She bit tightly down on her lip. After that, she killed time on the roof until it was time for the students of 2C to come to school. 10 minutes before homeroom, she went to the locker in front of class 2C and watched carefully to see if anyone reacted to the "whose eyes are those" that she'd written. And, just as she expected, she saw a boy with a frightened look on his face, trying desperately to erase the words. She confirmed later that it was, in fact, Takumi Nishijo. I know you. I know. It's you. It has to be you. Her words were drowned out by an electronic sound that had been modeled after the chirping of pigeons. The crosswalk lights at Scramble Crossing had turned green. The waves of people began to surge forward once more. But Yua just stood there, unconcerned with the traffic she was blocking, looking up at the text on the huge TV above her. Interesting. You don't think that particular crosswalk sound was so international? Yeah. I honestly didn't know that it was like modeled after pigeons. I'm not surprised, but I didn't know that. I wonder what set off you to suspect Takumi so early, though. To like set up the "whose eyes are those" in the classroom? Oh. New information. Yua Kusunoki had a twin sister, one born right after her. But she died a month ago. It was suicide. A twin sister was, in a lot of ways, a part of yourself. The two of them were far closer than most siblings. She meant everything to Yua, but once she died, it was like losing half of herself. When she heard the news, she'd cried and cried. She laid down on the bed in her younger sister's room, looking for any trace of the girl who'd lived there just the day before. And why did she die? Yua couldn't come up with a single reason. It wasn't suicide. His sister would never do that. Somebody had killed her. As her sadness deepened, she became more and more sure of it. Maybe there was a message from her sister somewhere that she hadn't noticed? Feeling a little guilty, she began to look through her sister's things. She found a diary, and in it were the words. Whose eyes are those? It was an SOS from her sister. It had to be. But she had no idea what it meant. In desperation, she decided to search for it on the internet. That led her to something. The National Elementary School Essay Contest. Ah, I see. I see what's happening here. It was something the Ministry of Culture had held 6 years ago. The winning essay was titled, Whose Eyes Are Those? That's the winning essay? Jeez. Maybe armpits? Hello? Crunchy iron plate. I know I need to read all of these, okay. So the first one's the crow's hair, tea thinner, vinyl letterpress, the caterpillar and the vampire. Whose eyes are those, of course. Maybe armpits. Crunchy iron plate. Castor rede? I don't know that word. Shinjiol? It's kind of hard to read that behind the text box. Protein intake. Not like protein, like what you would consume, but like protein. That's interesting. Maybe it's not that weird that Takemi's essay won then. The author's name was written on the page too. Takemi Nishijo. He would have been in 5th grade at the time. But she couldn't imagine what the relationship between her sister and this Takemi Nishijo was. It seemed to be a dead end. Her chance to investigate further came suddenly. You would always pass by Shota Park on her way to school. Twice a week or so, she'd see a lonely-looking boy eating a pastry while sitting on a park bench. As she looked at him sitting there, forlorn, for some reason, he began to intrigue her. One day, she was going to school alongside a classmate she happened to run into at the station. She saw him on the bench in his usual spot. When her classmates saw her interest in him, this is what she said. That's Nishijo, one of the second-year students. My little brother's in his class. He's a creepy otaku, and he hikikomori, he says. Kusunoki. You should just forget about him. Nishijo. Nishijo was a very unusual name. This couldn't be a coincidence. Yo quickly got her hands on a student roster for the second-year classes. She found what she was looking for. That name. Takumi Nichijo. But there was still a chance that it might be a different person who just happened to have the same name. So Yua decided to test him. Whose eyes are those? And she wrote those words on the blackboard. He seemed to panic. And it was right after that, when the crucified killing occurred, and someone on the net leaked a witness statement that a Suime Academy student had been seen running from the scene. Yua was sure of it now. There was something suspicious about Takumi Nishijo. He might have been the one who killed her sister. Well, that answered my question. Okay, we're in chapter 7, so that means Yua's route's gonna start here soon-ish. I don't know at what point. Maybe the beds were all full because so many people were hurt in the earthquake yesterday? Maybe the beds in the mental ward had been the only ones open. Oh, if only. Or maybe they thought because I had... Blah, blah, blah. Or maybe they thought I had collapsed because of some mental disorder. Well, if they did, they weren't that far off. Oh, have we not done the normal? Yeah, I don't think we've done the neutral for this one. I'm starting to feel more and more depressed. I tried killing them all in my brain to see if it would make me feel better, but it didn't. It wasn't enough to avenge my humiliation. They were still looking at me too, taunting me with voices so loud they echoed throughout the entire class. Why haven't you killed yourself? Okay. Isn't it hard being alive? You want us to help you? What assholes. I put my hands tight over my ears and tried my best to endure their taunts. I wanted to kill them. I wanted to murder them all with my D-sword. Imagine my blade splitting open their heads, ripping out their hearts, and splitting their bodies in two. Die. Die. Die! Die! I didn't have a D-sword, but I could buy big kitchen knives anywhere. I wanted to stamp out their worthless maggot lives myself. Well then. Maybe my brain had been pushed so close to the brink that I had to make another personality to survive. Maybe I did have multiple personalities, like you said. Kozupi is really Kozupi, Nora. I'm a different person than you. I'd heard once before that, normally, different personalities couldn't communicate with each other. Maybe I was the exception. Kozupi isn't you. I was getting so tired of this. Was I eventually going to start hearing the voices of other personalities too, besides this obnoxious Kozupi one? Wow. How many personalities were inside me anyway? I read in some book that there was a patient with 24 personalities somewhere in America. And what was more, I didn't even know if my personality was the primary one. A different personality might be the actual owner of Takumi Nishijo's body. Understandable, have a nice day, Kozupi. As I stood there in shock, the transfer student poked me. As she did, she tried to whisper something, but seemed to fail. Instead, she nervously raised her hand. Kozupi is Kozupi, Nora. Huh? Kozupi is Kozupi. Also, Kozupi's name isn't transfer student. It's Kozue Orihara, Nora. Kozue Orihara. I vaguely remembered hearing the name a long time ago from Izumi. Kozue. Kozupi. No way. So, you're sending this voice directly inside my head? She nodded again and again, as hard as she could. The telepathy? You don't know how it works, Nora. But I can do it. That's impossible. Poor Kozupi. Kozupi deserves better. That thing was too big to be swinging around indoors. There were other people around her too. If she hurt someone, it could be really bad. Watching her hold it made me feel like I was going to have a heart attack. Whether she knew of my worries or not, Kozupi lowered the blade from above her head and began to spin. She looked like she was having the time of her life. This is Kozupi's sword, okay? It beats up the bad people, Nora. I mean, beats up the bad people? Something about her words made my heart start beating faster. Something was wrong. I don't want it. She wasn't even slightly interested. What a rude woman, turning down somebody's kind offer like that. And was this just her being a student today? It's not moe if it's 3D, understand? Okay, Let's try this, Senna. If you can say the Shibuya words that we practiced together, Takumi will give you the winning stick. I said I don't want it. Come on, hurry. The words you say when you're having a good time. And, like, Sagrody, gag me with a spoon. Huh? What? Don't you like words? You're also like a decade out of date, too. Have the two of them been studying that? It was kind of cute, in a way, but... We need to say them so we can fit in here in Shibuya. Come on, Senna. I can't. You can. I can't. Kazuki silently stared at Senna with tears in her eyes. Even Senna couldn't resist that. and like, so grody. Gag me with a spoon. Senna always sounds so awkward when she talks like that. Senna had started blushing and was turning away from me. I felt like I'd just seen something very rare and precious. This was the complete opposite of all the complicated theories she'd been spewing a moment ago. All hail Dure mode. I just see new possibilities in 3D girls. Good job, Kuzuki. As promised, I gave Senna that winning stick. She took it with less resistance than I'd been expecting. I'm not going to say thanks, okay? She very pointedly picked up her D-sword again and glared at me before looking back down at her feet. Why did she have to glare at me after I'd done something nice for her? Dealing with Senna was always such a pain. Why would she just stay in Dure mode all day? Amazing. We're in chapter 8. Because we shouldn't have gone into chapter 8 without starting Yua's route. Or... is this Yua's route? Because this is claiming to be new, or is it stuck? Bon, you're late. Mimosa yelled as soon as he arrived. Bon shrugged and gave her a half-hearted smile as he walked over to her desk. He hadn't brought her any sweets today, a decision that he was beginning to regret. No, where's Suwa? Not working on his own today. So you're slacking off while the kid does all the work, huh? No, I'm working too, you know. I was up all night doing research, I'll have you know. I've learned a whole lot about what teenage girls are up to these days. Not even sure what to say to that. So, if I'm here, that means that you managed to make contact with the kid? They're here now. That's my Momo. Are they cute? Mosa gave the grinning Bon a slap on the head. She put her wrist into it too, and it hurt pretty bad. Grow up, you old pervert. It was a joke, okay? Bon had asked Momo for a favor. He wanted to talk to somebody involved in the new giant cases directly, and asked Phrygia to make it happen. His questions were, for the moment, not going to be directly linked to the police investigation. He couldn't talk to her in an official capacity, at least not without somehow getting the rest of the team involved. Mose headed for the corner of the office, motioning for Bon to follow her. There was a small space there, surrounded by shelves lined with files. The space served as a meeting room for talking with clients. There were 2 sofas, each with room for 2 people, and both far too big for the cramped little area. When Bon followed Mimose inside, he saw a girl sitting there. She was wearing a CMA Academy uniform. Her shoulders were slumped, and she was looking down. She looked exhausted. Sorry for keeping you waiting. The girl looked up in surprise when Mimose spoke. The glasses fell forward a little, and she adjusted them with her fingers. No, no, I'm fine. She looked a little scared as she bowed shallowly to Bon. He was kind of hurt by this. Bon always tried his hardest to try and come off as unthreatening. He realized, though, that he still must be giving off the intimidating air of a professional police officer, though. It's something he would have to keep working on, he realized.
Kusunoki
You are
Iwa-san,
Kusunoki, correct?
Hi.
Okay. That is... I mean... Yeah, you can translate hi as okay, but that's not the correct way to respond to... whatever. Translation errors. You're the twin sister of Mia, the deceased. Is that right? You have flinched a little before nodding. The first NoAH case was the group dive. One of the victims who jumped was a girl named Mia Kusunoki. Come on now, calm down a little. Judging by this guy's look at my knowledge of anime, he's a detective. Or a hobo. Maybe both, to be honest. But, yeah, he's a detective. Like, works specifically with the police department, but obviously is not in police officer garb, so... I'm not here to interrogate you. We're just having a little chat. Before I get to the point, can I ask you something? What are your thoughts about your sister's death? Bon, you can't possibly expect her to. Sorry. It's just part of my job. Tact is one of the first things you lose as a police officer. And I'm just curious. The task force down at the station was talking about it too. They said Mia Kusunoki's family was unusual. Bon! No, it's fine. Momose had almost leapt out of her chair at Bon's rude question, but Yua herself stopped her. I think it's strange myself. The 5 kids who died in the group dive had absolutely no reason to commit suicide. Their family and friends all said the same thing. Mia's family, however, was the sole exception. Bon took his fan out of his belt and began to wave it at his face. They didn't say a thing. Didn't make any kind of fuss. They were so quiet about it that it was strange, everyone said. Why do you think that was the case? Ever since Mia died, Mom and Dad have been weird. There was pain in her voice. At first, on the day they heard Mia had died, they cried. Mom and Dad looked like they were in a lot of pain. But the next morning, for some reason, they were happy and smiling. They were back to just how they'd been before Mia died. It only took a single day. I didn't understand. I thought that maybe the two of them were just trying to forget her. And then Dad was smiling, and he said, I don't even have a little sister. And when I showed them her clothes and shoes, it didn't faze them at all. They said they were all just extras that they bought for me. And then they started shutting off the news and ignoring the police. They were trying to forget that Mia ever existed. So they're going to pretend you weren't twins? And that's why they started chasing off the police and telling them they only had one daughter. Mia and I were identical twins. We were impossible to tell apart. But my parents hated her. She would always hide away her own feelings and put me first. As Yua talked, she remembered the memories of her old life. For example, one year when she was in elementary school, her parents had bought a present, a single giant stuffed bear. He was excited, but Mia said she didn't like stuffed animals and ignored it. Her parents had disliked how Mia refused to act like a little child should. Still, Mia quietly offered to share the stuffed animal with her, but Mia had refused. "I don't need a stuffed animal. You can have it," was all she'd said. A month or so later, though, when Mia had gotten tired of the stuffed animal, she woke in late at night to see something surprising. Mia was holding the stuffed bear and talking to it with such a happy look on her face. Yua had never seen her sister look so happy. It was only then that Yua realized her sister was lying about not wanting the bear. She'd been lying so that her sister could have it all to herself. The next day, Yua looked under Mia's pillow and found a cute picture of a bear she'd drawn. Mia had been sleeping within her arms after Yua got tired of the stuffed bear. Things like that had happened over and over again for the last 18 years. It was always Yua who blew out the candles on the birthday cake. Mia would say, "That's stupid. I'm not doing it." And her parents would get angry. Yua had made it into Suime Academy, a private school, but Mia had deliberately behaved badly in class, lowering her grades and making sure she got sent to a public one. Her parents hadn't had the money to send both of them to private schools. No matter what Yua tried to do for Mia, Mia would always put her big sister first, even if it meant making other people hate her.
私は結局
In the end, I took advantage of Mia's kindness
今まで
and had all the fun
自
while
分だ
she
けいい思い
suffered.
をしてきました。ミヤちゃんがいなくなって
Only after she
初め
had
て
gone did I realize there was
も
more
っと
I
あ
could
の
have
子の
done
た
for
めに
her.
何かできるこ
And I
とがあった
really
はずだって
regret it.
すごく
All this has been
後悔し
new,
て
but I haven't been able to skip through it.
私が
I
代わり
wish
に
I could have died in her place.
死んであげればよかったしかも挙句に
And then, not only that,
親に存
her
在
parents
そ
were
のも
even
のを
trying to
忘
forget
れられ
about
てしまう
her.
なんてこんなの
It's not fair.
あんまり
It
で
was
す
just too sad.
あんまりに
That was all the talking she could do. She took off her glasses and put her hands over her eyes as she began to cry. Mimose sat next to her, kindly patting her on the back.
それでゆあちゃんは
So you has been
一人で事件
investigating
の
the
ことを
case
調
on
べて
her
たら
own,
しい
she says,
みあちゃんに一体何
to
があ
find
った
out
の
what
か
exactly happened to
知るため
Mia.
にね。
そりゃ大変だ
That
っ
must
た
have been difficult.
そして
She's found a
一人
name.
の人物を突き止めた。
あ
Mimose looked over to Bon, still holding Yua close.
西条匠君よ。
Takumi Nishijo.
なるほど
I see. Bon stroked the stubble on his chin and leaned forward.
いつだったか西
I
条
heard
と
from
追
one of
跡
the
劇
local
をしてたっていう
detectives that there
女
was
子
a
高生の
teenage
話
girl
を
who was running
所
after
轄の部下
Nishijo
から聞
one
いたんだ
day.
な。もしかして
Was
ゆあちゃん
that
だったりする
she nodded, looking like she was sorry.
ああ
Interesting.
興味あるな。
I'd like to
詳しく聞
hear.
かせてもおーと思った
And I was
ら
going to
ちょっ
say I'd
とごめ
like
ん
to hear more, but give me a second. Mon chuckled and bobbed his head at Yua and Mimose. He'd been cut off by the sound of his phone, coming from within his suit pocket. He quickly took it out and looked at the LCD screen. It was showing Sua's
も
name.
しもしどうし
Hello,
た
what is it? It's happened. The seventh murder. Yeah, convenient that you would know, huh?
なんだと
What? Sua's voice was tense. Hawk could hear the sound of other police officers frantically running around him. From the sound of it, Sua was at the station. The seventh new gen case. Juan's eyes went wide and he bit his lip. This is really not news. 3 victims, all friends. All of them had their bodies sawed in half. Their top halves and bottom halves are switched with one another and sewn together with monofilament. That's fishing wire. There are injuries on their faces that look like the letters Q, D, and M, right?
何かの
Let's look at a message. Tokyo. Topsy found something. Bodies weren't cut in half with a solid blade.
どういう意味だ
You mean,
銃だ
like by some kind of monster. Blah blah blah.
なんだ
This isn't new content. I don't. Okay, that's new. Yeah. By the time Yua finished her conversation with Momose and Bon left Phrygia, the sky was dark. She told them everything she suspected about Takumi Nichijo, and showed them all the research she'd done. Relix. A police detective and the head of a private investigation company. If the two of them could be persuaded, the police might go arrest Takumi Nichijo, or at least she'd hope so. Takumi Nichijo needed to be arrested. She knew how much he was suffering, so she wanted him to turn himself in. But since he wasn't willing to, she'd have to get the police to arrest him. That had been what she'd thought anyway. But surprisingly, Bon had told her that Takumi Nichijo wasn't a suspect anymore. It was unbelievable, something she didn't want to accept. Why would they refuse to believe her theory? It was so clear that Takumi Nichijo was behind the murders. Yua bit her lip and headed toward the station at a fast pace. She needed to get home to do more research. She needed to find proof they couldn't ignore. Then she showed it to Bon and prove she was right. No, if it isn't to young Miss Kusunoki. Someone called her name out of nowhere. She jerked a little and then stopped moving. Shibuya is not safe these days. Girls, make sure you're not out alone at night. I mean, true, not so real. Girls, make sure you're not out alone at night. Have a buddy. Buddy system. She remembered the teacher telling her that during homeroom and froze stiff. The man who called out to her was young and friendly looking. You're Yua, aren't you? She recognized him from somewhere, but she couldn't remember where. Ugh, you don't remember me? Huh? The name is Mamoru Suwa. Here, look. He pulled out a police badge from his pocket, just high enough for her and nobody else to see. Then he quickly put it away. And I went to your house after the group dive. You and I spoke for quite a bit. Sorry. I remember now. Nice to meet you again. Yua bowed to him. She'd been a mess after the incident. She didn't remember his face at all. But she did remember a detective who was nice enough to listen to everything she had to say. That was the conversation where she realized how bizarre her sister's death was. In that respect, she was grateful to him. You were just with Bon a moment ago, weren't you? Huh? You know Bon? Sure, we're both part of Section 1. He's my partner. He's always getting mad at me for something or other. And he must have been really happy to talk to a young girl. Alright, buddy. Don't tell him I told you this, but when he was talking about meeting you today, he had this look on his face like a perverted old man. I wish I could have gone with him, but I couldn't get away from the investigation. Oh, right. Have your parents been told yet? I assume they have. Or, maybe they haven't? I'm told what? No, we found something we think was used by the killer in the group dive case. Huh? Really? Yo hadn't heard anything about this. She found herself edging closer to him. Yes. What, I guess what it is? The media has been talking about it all the time lately because of another case. So I bet you could if you tried. Get this. It's a Darth Spider helmet. Isn't it yours, Asuba? And the killer behind the group dive murder was wearing it? Yup. There was that video that went online, right? They ran a bunch of analysis on it and found that out. Speaking of which, the Shibuya boy psychic thing also had a Darth Spider helmet, didn't it? Takumi Nichijo, what was that the kid's name? Why would he have the same kind of Darth Spider helmet as the one used by the group dive killer? Fucking bastard. As she heard those words, black emotions welled up inside her. There's nothing like certainty now. Just a bit ago, Bonham and Mose had been telling her that her theory was wrong. The fact that they rejected it only made her more certain now that this was the final piece of their puzzle.
さてと
Anyway,
それじゃ自
I'm
分
off
フリ
to
ージアに行くん
Fugia.
で
See
この
you
辺で失礼し
around.
ます
Fucking... Pucker. Yeah. After he was finished talking, Sua waved and walked off. He was left alone. She stood there, unmoving, head slumped forward.
彼だわ
It's him. She whispered softly, to no one in particular.
彼なの
He's the one.
やっぱり彼だった
I knew it was him.
彼しかいない
It has to be him.
彼に間違いない
I'm sure it's him.
彼が
He
妹
killed
を
my
殺
sister.
したのよ彼が
He killed
ミ
me.
ワを殺したのよ
Man, I wish I knew who she was talking about. Hey, Nightheart. I've been waiting. We got new nice guy. We got what? Too lazy to find a. New gen, dude. New gen. New gen equals nice guy. New gen, NG, nice guy. Shouldn't be that hard to figure out. Anyway, it's here. The 7th murder. The 7th murder. Another one. Another new gen murder. How long was this going to keep happening? Will the next one be the one where they finally got me? Or the one after that? Anyway, had Grim gotten a job with the new gen advertising division or something? He was constantly telling me about them whenever one happened. And once again, he posted a bunch of links to news sites too. This must have been his way of telling me to look at them. I clicked the link a bit down hard on my lip. Little Cume puzzle. This isn't new gen, the cops are idiots. At approximately 4:50 a.m. today, a newspaper delivery man found the bodies of 3 men hanging from a utility tower near the train tracks in Shibuya. The police investigation revealed that the bodies belonged to 3 Shibuya residents, college student named Saburo Hanzawa, part-time worker named Ryo Takagi, and Kohei Fujita, who was unemployed. All 3 had their bodies severed at the torso, and the top and bottom halves were stitched with another of the murdered men. Strange, distinctive injuries were found on their foreheads, which the police believe may be a message from the killer. And Shibuya has suffered from a number of bizarre murders over the past 2 months, and authorities are treating this as another in the same series of incidents. The last video I saw showed the faces of the 3 murdered men. I recognized their faces.
ああ、あいつらだ。
It's them.
昨日僕に
They mugged
絡
me
んできた。
yesterday. I gave them my wallet, but they still attacked me anyway. I passed out, and when I woke up, Kozupi was there. The 3 of them were covered in blood. I took my wallet out of my pocket and stared at it. When I'd woken up, Kozupi was holding my wallet. She'd given it back to me. Could she be the one who... No, that wasn't right. When I'd seen them last, their faces were smashed up, and they were covered in blood, but they certainly weren't sliced in half. They'd been killed after Kozupi and I had left. Was it Shogun? Was he taunting me? Telling me that I was next? There was a chance that Shogun would come back. He seemed to be coming after me as some sort of game, which meant the next quest might start whenever he felt like it. That scared me. Mimi, help me. Where'd she gone? Wasn't she supposed to protect me? Somebody was here. I looked at the clock on the computer. It was just after 8 in the evening. Who could be coming at this hour? Mimi. It had to be Mimi. She'd finally come to save me. She said she'd stay with me. Of course she'd come. She'd certainly taken her time, though. I hurried to the door, feeling that salvation was at hand. I undid the padlock, locking the door from the inside, and then I flung open the door.
Rim!
I tried to say Jamie's name, but suddenly somebody put a hand over my mouth. In an instant, I started to panic. I didn't even get to see who it was. I tried to knock the hand away, but before I could, they pressed their body weight against me, and I started to stagger backwards. I tried as hard as I could to stay standing. I fell on my hands about, trying to stay upright. I lowered my head and bit their hand as hard as I could. Whoever they weren't saying a word. They kept trying to press themselves up against me. I was biting pretty hard, but their hand wasn't budging. They pushed me back and tripped me, and I fell, unable to stay upright anymore. I hit the back of my head hard and almost passed out. My vision was swimming, and I couldn't even tell what position I was lying on the floor in. They still had their hand up against my mouth. It was hard to breathe. As my mind started to slip into the darkness, I used all the energy I had to look up at the face of the person in front of me. Haha. You, huh? That's right. I'd forgotten about her. I had been so focused on Shogun that I'd forgotten about her, his servant. Panic seized me. I struggled and tried as hard as I could to escape. But Yua's whole body weight was on top of me, and I couldn't get up. The girl was pressing herself up against me, but there's no time to get horny over it. I didn't even have it in me to enjoy the feeling of her body. The only thing in my mind was an instinctive fear that if I didn't run, I'd be killed. There was a little trickle of blood falling from her hand where I'd bit her. But she was still pressing as hard as before. Her hands were incredibly strong. She was pressing my jaw as hard as she could, and even digging her nails into my cheek. I was hit by a stabbing pain. It's you. I could hear her whisper between rapid breaths, and I shivered. I grabbed a tuft of her long hair and yanked it, trying to fight back. And she winced, but still didn't get off. With her open hand, she grabbed the hand I was using to pull her hair and dug her hands into it too. It hurt so bad I let go. When I did, she pinned my hand to the floor. It's you, isn't it? It's you! Her glasses had tilted slightly on the nose during our struggle. On her nose during our struggle. I could see tears in her eyes from when I pulled her hair. But her eyes were endlessly cold as she stared at me, just like at Sugar Park. You killed her. What was she talking about? Was she still saying I was the new gen killer? She didn't kill anybody. She was the one who was here to kill me. Staring back into her cold gaze was terrifying. I learned in the moment that you shouldn't lock eyes with crazy people. There are some eyes that just abnormal, insane. I looked away, praying to wake up from this nightmare, but... Don't look away. Her face got closer. I could feel her unsteady breathing on my cheeks. Look at me. Her breath was so hot. She was so close that even if I looked away, she'd still be in my field of vision. I thought about giving her a headbutt, but I was so pinned too tightly to try. I'll show you. I'll show you the you that you don't know, Mother. There's another you inside you. DID, dissociative identity disorder, multiple personalities. That's what she said at Cafe when we fought like this. That was just her delusion. How could you know more about me than I knew myself? Nishijo, do you still not know? You're still not aware of it? And do you think as long as you don't know, you're safe? I've warned you so many times. Why won't you listen? And there's another personality inside you. Shogun. And that personality's doing terrible things. She's so close yet so far away to the truth.
れ以上放置は
I
できない。
can't let you keep doing
これ
this
以上
anymore.
人殺しはさせない。
I can't let you keep killing people.
あなたは早く病院
You
へ
need
行
to
って
go
治
to
療
a
すべき。
hospital and get treatment.
それが嫌だと
And if
い
you
うの
refuse, I'm gonna
私は
turn
あ
you
なたを
over to
警
the
察に口出
police.
す。将軍を放置す
And
る
your
こと
crime
は
is letting Shogun
西
on
条君
fee.
の罪よ。あなたも人殺し
You're
に加
helping a
担している
murderer.
んだって理解
Understand
し
that. You can't understand that.
理解できるよね。
You can understand that, can't you? I haven't killed anybody.
理解してもらわなきゃ
I need you
困
to
る。
understand that. I don't have multiple personalities.
理解すべき。
You must understand that. Multiple personalities only exist in manga and novels. I refuse to accept it. Buddy. Let's not get into that right now.
出てきて。
Come out.
私はあなたと
I want
話
you
が
to
したい
talk.
よ。
I want to talk to
聞こ
you.
えているんでしょ
You hear me, right?
Shogun.
Shogun's not me. It's a real person. A different person. He uses a wheelchair and shows up at weird times. He's always reading my mind. And he's got a voice like a little kid and wrinkled skin like an old man. He's my enemy. He's not me. Just the thought makes me sick. Wait, didn't Kira work for Shogun? I thought she did. But it looks she really thought I was Shogun.
西条君、自
Nishijo,
重して。
stop struggling.
あなたは
I
少
need
し
you to
眠っ
sleep
て
for
い
a
て。
while.
将軍にその
And give
体
your
を
body
渡し
over
て
to Shogun. I can't do that. I don't have multiple personalities. I tried to tell her that, but with her hand over my mouth, nothing came out when muffled moans.
出てきなさ
Show yourself.
い。出てきて。
Come out.
出てきて。
Come out, please.
出られないの？
I can't come out.
出てこられるはず
You
よ。
should be able to come out.
出たいでしょ。
You want to come out, don't you?
出てこい。
Come
人
out,
殺し。
murderer. How come you sound? I started to cry. My body went limp. I didn't have the strength to resist. I was just tired. Why? Why does all this stuff have to happen to me? Why does she have to say all this crap to me? What did I ever do to you? This wasn't fair. This crazy delusional woman was stalking me. There's nobody here to save me. Was she going to kill me here? Even if I did make it through today, there's no guarantee I'd survive tomorrow. Shogun could appear at any moment. Was I going to have to spend the rest of my life living in fear and jumping at shadows? Please no. I don't want to keep living this life. Maybe I'd be better off going crazy. Maybe better off dead.
どうして泣くの？
Why are you crying? She slowly took her hand off my mouth. She lifted her body off my chest. With the weight gone, I felt a lot better.
将軍が出てきた
Did
の？
Shogun come out? I shook my head limply.
ざり
I'm
な
so
んだ。
tired of all this.
いっそ殺せ。
Just kill me.
殺さない。
I won't kill you.
私が殺させ
I
ない。
won't let you kill either.
あなたは罪を
You
償う
must
べきな
atone
の
for your
よ。
crimes.
そして真実を
You
語
must tell
るべき。
everyone the truth.
死んで逃げること
I
は
won't
許
let you
さな
escape from your crimes by dying.
い。許さないわ。
I won't let you.
許すわけにはいか
I
ない。
can't let you.
将軍は
Shogun is someone
別にいる
else.
ニュージェネの犯人
He's the new gen
そいつだよ
killer.
将軍はあなた。
Shogun is you.
あなたなの。
It's you.
あなたしか考えら
It
れない。
has to be you. Nothing I said was getting through to her. She was only interested in her own ideas. She was convinced they were completely right. They're partly right. There's no sense in resisting.
将軍、出て
Shogun,
きて、
come out.
出てきてよ。
Come out, please.
出てきてって言って
I
るで
said
しょ。
come out.
どうして出てこない
I
の？
want you to come out. Okay. You what? Politely. Even if he did have the ID, and Shogun truly was an alter of his, this isn't how you trigger out alters. Not that you should trigger out alters, but this isn't how you do it, okay? Jeez. It's complicated. Bleh.
あなたがそこにいるのは分かってる
I
の。
know you're in there.
絶対に将軍
I'm
を引
gonna
き出
draw out
してみせ
Shogun,
る
I
よ。
swear.
私は諦めないか
I
ら
won't give up.
それまで
And until then,
絶対に
I
逃
won't
が
let
さ
you
ない
get
から
away. She could wait till he sneezes. Ugh. Suddenly, she stood up and closed the container's open door. She leaned over and picked up the padlock and locked it. Then she put the key in her uniform pocket. What was she doing? What was this girl thinking?
逃がさないから
I won't let you get away. She whispered coldly, as if she was talking to herself, not me. No, this is fun. There were a lot of fast food spots in Shibuya, but all of them were filled with young people. What does this have to do with anything? It took a lot of courage for a middle-aged man to come there alone. He felt out of place, like he didn't belong. Yosuchibon thought these things to himself as he sat there, drinking his coffee. Surrounding himself were groups of teenagers talking happily. The coffee in the paper cup was already cold. Damn. There was a clear plastic file on his table. Inside was the vast number of memos he'd taken, and a few copies he made of the official investigation reports. Of the latter, there weren't very much. He'd been here for an hour, alone, going over his notes again. As for why he was doing it in such a public place... Just the other day, he'd been taken off the New Gen task force. He was still investigating it on his own. The copies he'd made, which of course were certainly not to be removed from the police building, had several images attached to them. The first images showed one of the victims of the group dive, the first New Gen case. Mia Kusunoki. Well had taken an interest in her after speaking with her older sister, Yuba, yesterday. After what she said about Mia, he decided to look into her himself. Originally, he was so focused... What? Blah 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 blah. He was focused the rumors... okay. It wasn't me, it was the English. He was focused on the rumors about the strange girl with the sword that were going around Shibuya, and this was only a secondary concern. But after going through all the documents, something felt strange. There were little things which, when viewed in isolation, were easy to miss. Maybe they didn't matter. Maybe they had nothing to do with the case. But when viewed as part of the whole, they just felt wrong. The feeling was especially strong after hearing what Yua had said yesterday. He looked at the document in front of him. It read, after the dive, glasses were found among Mia Kusunoki's possessions. That was what bothered him. He thought through all the things the task force had found during its investigations. He took a sip of his coffee and sighed. Not a single picture of Mia Kusunoki taken before she died showed her wearing glasses. It was always Yua, her older sister, who wore glasses. He had the results of Mia's physicals too. They all showed her with a vision of 1.5 in both eyes. There was no reason at all for her to wear glasses. As someone with the vision of negative 1.5 in both eyes, X to doubt, because I also wear glasses. I mean... I guess since that would be, like, the opposite, so, like, far-sighted rather than nearsighted, it could be less of an issue. But still, whatever. Unlike her social butterfly of a sister, Mia Kusunoki was a quiet girl who liked anime. That matched with what Yua Kusunoki had said about her. The kids who died in the group dive were all friends, but according to the information he had, they hadn't met in real life until the day they died. They were all internet friends who decided to meet up in real life. Of course, their internet conversations had all been tracked down and analyzed. There was nothing in them to indicate they were going to commit suicide. And several hours before the incident, two teenage girls, likely twins, had been entering a fast food place in Shibuya. What is going on with my voice? It is struggling. Bon looked around. The fast food restaurant where they'd been seen was this one. He talked to the witness, an employee here, just a little while ago. They talked for a while. Before they got into the bathroom together, they hadn't come out for 10 minutes or so. What had they been doing in the bathroom? He stared at the girl's bathroom for a few moments before realizing that he probably looked like a weird old pervert to the kids around him. Yeah? He chuckled and went back to looking out the window. Hmm. 18 hours has passed since Yua had broken into my room. I was tied up to one of my bunk bed poles with my hands behind my back. Oh, okay. Kinky. Fortunately, I've been tied up sitting down, so it wasn't that tiring, but the cords were digging into my wrists. I've been more or less out of it for about 3 of the 18 hours. Only 3 of them? But since I hadn't been able to get any real sleep, I was having trouble keeping my eyes open. Damn it. I'm not into bondage, okay? Find somebody else to tie up. Yua was sitting on the sofa, staring at me. She had been there all night. All she did was sit there and glare at me. Doesn't she get tired? What was the point of all this anyway? Yua was convinced I had DID, but I didn't. No matter how long she waited, Shogun wasn't going to show up. After she tied me up, she'd given me a chance to talk. I'd used it to try and convince her. I'd spent hours on it, but she wasn't listening. She was so stubborn that after a few hours, I finally gave up. And then...
あなたが将軍を生み出
he
したんで
created
す。
Shogun.
あなたが将軍なんで
You
す。
are Shogun. I got that a little backwards.
現実逃避の手
There's a
段。
way for you to escape reality.
将軍はあなた自
Shogun
身で
is
ある。
you.
同時にあなたでは
And
ない
also,
別
a
の
different
存在。
being than you.
もう一人のあなた。
And the other you.
あなたの負の側
Your
面。
negative side.
あなたの弱い
The
心を
creature
守
that
るため
exists
の
to
存
protect
在。
your weak heart.
あなたの狂気。
Your madness.
快楽殺人者。
A serial killer.
手段は選ばない。
He'll do anything.
殺す相手も選ばない。
Kill anyone.
殺すことが存在
Killing
で
is the reason he exists.
誰でもよかったんですか？
Could it just as easily have been someone else?
本当に
Really?
ミヤはなぜ選ばれた
Why
んで
was
すか？
Mia chosen?
答えて。
Answer me.
答えてよ。
Answer me.
答えてください。
Please answer me.
答えてほしい。
I want you to answer me.
答えないと許し
I
ま
won't
せ
let
ん。
you not answer me. She kept whispering the same things over and over. She sounded crazy. It was a small room, and I couldn't put my hands over my ears either. I was forced to listen. I thought I would go crazy myself. I tried to come up with a way to run. I tried telling her I needed to go to the bathroom, and seeing if I could escape that way. But it didn't work. She untied me and let me go to the bathroom, but she didn't give me a moment's privacy. Even when I was using the toilet, she was watching me from right behind. And she was still whispering too. How long was she going to keep this up? It was possible that she might decide to change her mind and just kill me at any minute. It wasn't safe for me to go to sleep. And of course, even awake I didn't think I could protect myself.
何がきっかけ？
What's the trigger?
どうすれば出てくるんで
What
す
makes
か？
him appear?
肉体的苦痛、
Physical pain?
精神的苦痛、
Mental pain?
性的衝動、
Sexual urges?
トラウマ、
Psychological trauma?
偶然。
Is it just a coincidence? And then, she suddenly fell silent. She was still staring at me, though. The room was dead silent. The silence just made me more nervous. Suddenly, I heard the sound of a rumbling belly. I was hungry too, since I hadn't had anything to eat or drink, but it wasn't me. So yeah, I was hungry then. Of course, even though she must have known, I'd heard her stomach rumble. Her expression didn't change a bit. A normal girl, Sarah, for instance, would have reacted in a cute way. Like this, for instance. What? Don't blame me. I want some food, but I'm controlling myself. Huh? Why? Because... You said I'd
あ
gained
なた
weight
に
the
太
other
ってるっ
day.
て言われたから。
But
でも別に
I'm
さ、
not dieting
あなたに言われ
because
た
you
からダイエ
said
ットしてる
that,
わけじゃないよ。
okay?
勘違い
Don't
し
get
ない
the
で
wrong
ね。
idea,
ごけ
you
なす。
dork. You know, like it's really obvious soon today. You're so cute when you're blushing, Seda. Crap. Of course I wanted to escape into delusions with all that was going on.
食べないんですか？
You're not going to eat? Yua opened her mouth. Her voice was as cold as ever. Her gaze was directed at my feet. There was a plate there. The plate had pasta on it. Pollock egg spaghetti. She'd even put some seaweed flakes on top of it. It had been there for 2 hours already, though, and the noodles were probably a squishy mess now. Yua had made it. She left the room, leaving me tied up without saying a word, and came back 30 minutes later with this pasta. She must have gone out of the building again to the supermarket, bought the ingredients, and cooked it outside my room. I couldn't understand why she'd made it herself. She could have just as easily bought pre-made something at the convenience store. There might be poison in it, I thought. That's why I hadn't touched it. That, and since I was tied up, I couldn't reach it anyway.
あんたが食べれば
You
い
eat
い。
it. It was Yua's stomach that had rumbled. I tried to make my voice sound as sarcastic as possible.
あなたを肉体的にいたぶろう
I'm
と
not
か、
trying to cause you
そんなつも
physical
りはないん
pain.
です。
X to doubt?
私はただ、
I'm
将
just
軍が
waiting
出
for
てくるのを
Shogun
待
to
っているだ
appear.
け。だから、
So,
食べてください。
please eat.
食べてくれなきゃ
I
困
need
り
you
ます。
to eat. Still,
食べ
eat.
て。
この状態で
How am I supposed to
食
eat
べら
like
れると
this?
思ってるの。
D-
無茶言
Don't
わ
be
ないでよ。
ridiculous. Yua stood up and walked over to me, then crouched down right next to me. I looked away in fear, but part of me was hoping she decided to untie the ropes. She hadn't, though. Yua brought the plate towards me, and somehow managed to get the pasta, which had now lost all its moisture, wrapped around a fork. She brought the fork to my mouth.
どうぞ。
Here.
嫌だ。
No, I'm not
食
going
べ
to
ないぞ。
eat that. Normally, having girl feed you was an experience you could only find in an H game. I'm sure you could find it in other types of games too, buddy. Like dating sims that don't have H. But being fed by Yua right now was only making me want to kill somebody. If you want to feed me, untie me first, damn it. Then I could pretend to eat it and then say, it's nasty and I don't want any more. Then she'd feel real bad, I bet.
レンジでチンしまし
Should
ょ
I heat
う
it
か。
up in the microwave?
いら
I
ないって
told
言
you,
ってるじゃない
I
か。
don't want it. I thought about using my knee to knock the plate out of her hands, but if I pissed her off, there's no telling what she might do to me. The idea scared the crap out of me and I gave up on it.
分かってください。
Please,
私が
understand.
西条くんにこんな
I'm
ことする
doing
の
all
は
this to save you.
あなたを救うためでもあるんです。
Huh.
決してあなたを傷
I'm
つ
not
けるた
doing
めじ
this
ゃ
to
ないんで
hurt
す
you.
よ。
What? Was Yua just dumb? Was she literally stupid? Who the hell did she think she was anyway? Save me? Sure, I'd been afraid of the new gen murders in Shogun. I wanted someone to save me. But that list of somebodies did not include Yua. I wasn't interested in playing along with the delusions of a crazy chick.
食べて、
Eat.
無理にでも食べて。
Force yourself to eat. She put the fork with the cold pasta wrapped around it up to my mouth.
食べられますよね。
You can eat it, can't you? She drew her face closer to mine. She was staring into my eyes.
食べてください。
Please eat.
食べて。
Eat. And then she froze. Why did this girl always get so close to me whenever she was mad about something? I pressed my lips into a thin line and looked away. Even the idea of eating anything this woman prepared for me was disgusting. An hour or so passed. My stomach was hurting bad. I wanted to scream in terror, but I couldn't.
食べて。
Eat.
食べてよ。
Eat, please.
食べてって言ってるで
I
しょ。
told you to eat.
食べて。
Eat. She was still right in front of my face, staring at me. She still had the fork with the pasta up against my lips. She'd been like that the whole time.
食べて
Eat.
食べてください
Please eat.
食べないと
You need to eat.
食べて
Eat.
食べてほしい
I want you to eat.
食べて
Eat.
食べなさい
You must eat.
食べて
Eat.
食べていいの
It's okay for you to eat.
食べなよ
Eat, okay?
食べろ
Eat, damn it. She kept whispering over and over in a low voice. I feel like she'd been doing it for at least an hour. And the whole thing was so eerie that I couldn't move a finger. This must have been how a frog feels like when a snake is bearing down on it. She hadn't hurt me. She wasn't trying to force the pasta into my lips. But the terror I felt toward her was just growing more and more intense. All she was doing was waiting for me to eat. The reason it felt so creepy was that a normal person would have given up after 5 minutes. She'd been waiting over an hour. She just screamed, "Eat the food already!" and grabbed me by the hair and forced it into my mouth. At least that would have been normal. I couldn't tell what Yua was thinking. There was something very, very wrong with her. She was broken. She didn't even seem human. I was scared, 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 scared, I was scared. I was completely terrified. I wanted to just get on my knees and beg her to let me go. An awful sweat was forming over my whole body. The mental pressure was making it hard to even breathe. I never had a girl stare at me for this long, from this distance. Had anybody? I mean, if she was my girlfriend and we were having a nice romantic chat, that would be one thing. But all she was doing was staring at me with a blank expression and cold eyes and mumbling "eat" over and over. This wasn't something that normally happened to people.
食べて
Eat.
食べなさい
You must eat.
食べてよ
Eat, please.
食べてください
Please eat.
食べろ
Eat, damn it.
Da-
Ugh. I couldn't take her gaze anymore. I forced the words out of my mouth. They came out raspy and dry.
食べるよ
I'll eat it. Yua stopped whispering. She didn't move. She was still in the same exact position. I forced my mouth open. Trembling, I ate the pasta I refused for over an hour. It was dry, and eating it stole what little moisture remained in my already dry mouth. I swallowed it without even really chewing it. I didn't have it in me to try and figure out how it tasted. Fair, I guess. After she saw me do it, Yua blinked several times. She had been frozen like a statue, and as she finally started to move...
おいしい
Is it good? Of course not. I couldn't tell her that, though. We just nodded softly.
よかったです
I'm glad. She didn't look happy at all, though. The blank expression remained plastered onto her face. She lowered the fork toward the plate. She grabbed another dry lump of pasta. She grabbed another dry lump of pasta with the fork and raised it to my mouth again. Was I supposed to eat it all? Was she not going to let me go until I did? Please, let me go. I started to cry. I was so scared. But no matter how much I cried, it looked like she was going to stay like this until all the pasta was eaten. So I cried, but I ate. I kept letting her feed me the dry, disgusting pasta. By the time I finished, I was mentally and physically exhausted.
お腹いっぱいになりま
Are
し
you
た
full?
かなりましたよね
You are full, right?
なったはず
You should be full.
一生懸命作
I'm
った
glad
甲斐があ
I
りま
worked
し
so
た
hard to make it for you. She spoke coldly, but finally moved away from me. She put the plate on my computer desk and returned to the sofa. Then she sat down and looked at me. Once again, she stopped moving completely. Please, don't look at me. Stop looking at me. I kept whispering in my heart. I was too scared to speak. Was she gonna keep looking at me for a full 24 hours? It was mental torture. The idea made me feel miserable.
なんで
Why are
こ
you
んなことす
doing
るんだよ。
this? I asked, sobbing. I had to ask.
僕に
What did I do to
何の
you?
恨みがあって。
妹が
My younger
死ん
sister
だんで
is
す。
dead. Huh? A sister? For just a moment, Yua looked like she was about to break into tears. But then the cold mask returned to her face.
集団ダイブの被害
But
者
she
の
was
一
one
人
of the victims in the group dive
私の
video.
双子の
She
妹
was my twin sister.
ミアって言います。
Her name was Mia.
私は
I'm going to
妹を
make her
殺した
murderer
犯人を
pay.
許さない。
I told myself I
許
had
さ
to
ないっ
make
て
them
思ってま
pay.
した。そして
And then
あなたにたど
I
り着い
found
て
you.
あなたの苦しみを
I
知り
came
まし
to
た。
know your pain.
私は
I
妹
want
が
to
な
know
ぜ
why my
殺されな
sister
くちゃい
had
け
to
なかった
die.
のか。そのなぜ犯人が
I want to know why the
将軍
killer,
が
my
妹
shogun,
を殺したの
chose to
か
do what he
知
did.
りたい。それと
And I want to
あな
save
た
you
も助け
too.
たい。分かってください。
Please, understand.
分かってくれます
You
よね。
understand, right?
分かるはず。
You should understand.
分かるはずです。
I know you understand. I remember the group dive video uploaded to YouTube. So, one of the victims screaming and crying in that video was her younger sister. After what had happened to Nanami, I could kind of understand how she felt. But that didn't mean I was sympathetic. She'd broken into my room and tied me to a post. Of course I couldn't sympathize with her. I completely lost track of how long I'd been in here. There were no windows in this room, so I couldn't even tell what time it was now.
その目誰の目
What
どういう
whose
意味
eyes are those mean?
どうしてこれから
Why
殺す
did
相
you
手
make
に言わせた
the
の
people you were about to kill say it?
どうしてダイイングメ
Why
ッセ
did
ー
you
ジと
make
して
them
残
leave it
した
as a
の
dying message?
あなたは何を
What
訴
are
えた
you
いの
trying to say? There's only... blah, blah, blah. The only way to tell inside the base was to look at my computer clock or my cell phone. Tied to the bedpost, I couldn't do either. When I went to the bathroom, I was able to go outside, so I could get a general idea of what time it was then. But as this dragged on, I started to get reluctant to even go to the bathroom. Without any water, I didn't have any urge to pee. I felt like I hadn't needed to use the toilet for at least a full day now.
どうしてダーススパイダーなの
My Darth Spider.
それを被ることで何を
What
訴
are
え
you
た
trying
か
to
っ
say
た
by
の
wearing that helmet?
宗教的な意味が
Does
あ
it
るの
have some religious meaning?
ダークヒーロー
Are
願
you
望
trying to make yourself out to be an anti-hero?
それともセロンを
Or
バ
is
カ
it your
に
way
し
of
たいだ
having
け
fun at society's expense? Yua barely moved. All she did was sit on the sofa. Occasionally, she would stand up for a little, or change how she sat, but nothing more. And the whole time, she kept whispering. It amazed me that she could talk so much. She didn't call or text anyone, or use the computer to kill time. She didn't sleep. All she did was ask me questions. The words themselves were starting to lose their meaning. I hated being stared at. Shogun's mind reading, at least, only happened once in a while. I hated it, but it wasn't unbearable. But having Yua watch my every action with her expressionless, cold eyes, that felt like it was striking a fatal blow at the very core of who I was. As long as I was tied up here, unable to move, I couldn't see anything changing. I lost track of how long I'd been tied up. I had no idea how many days it had been. It felt like it might have been only 2 days, but also might have been a month. Not being able to move was really stressful. For the past several hours, I thought of nothing but how I wanted to see a clock. I couldn't think of anything else.
それとも
Nor. Her head suddenly began to sway. She took off her glasses and rubbed her tired eyes. The effect of having no sleep at all was finally catching up with her. She was getting what she deserved for being so stupid. What she was doing was pointless, a waste of effort. If she just listened to what I was telling her, none of this would have happened.
いつ
When are you
出てきて
going to
くれ
show
るんですか
yourself? Her whisper sounded so pained. Was she talking to Shogun?
どうしたら
What do I have to do
出て
to
き
make
て
you
く
show
れるんですか
yourself?
出てきてよ
Come out, please. It's not coming. Sorry. It was never here in the first place.
待ってるから
I'll be waiting.
But-
Wait. Her voice dropped off, and then her body began to tilt to the side. She slumped over onto the sofa and lay there, unmoving. Had she fallen asleep? Had she finally run out of steam? I sighed in relief as the tension left my body. I hadn't had a moment's relief while she was staring at me, but now I could finally get a little rest. Taki, get a hold of yourself. I heard Sadaton's voice coming from next to the PC monitor. This is your only chance to escape. How? He's tied up. In fact, this is your chance to tie her up. She's defenseless. And then you can do whatever you want, dork. You see, I could, for example, not saying that, or make her endure all kinds of sexy punishments, perhaps. Trembling, I looked over at her face. Asleep, she was actually pretty cute. I remember the soft smile she'd shown me when we'd first met. Obviously, she had her reasons for thinking of me as her enemy. I thought she was working for Shogun too. But she was the one who made me think that. She was the one who tricked me, lied to me, so even if I, still not saying that, or made her endure all kinds of sexy punishments, she wouldn't have the right to complain. Yes, she would. I looked at her face again. Her eyelids were twitching. Her face was twisted in pain. Suddenly, a single tear fell from the corner of her eye. Maybe she was dreaming about her dead sister. Taki, you're not going to make her endure sexy punishments? Seira. Shut up. I couldn't, after seeing her cry. Even though she locked you in here and tied you up? Taki, you're a saint. You're so nice. Too nice. That's one of the things I admire about you. But I think there's a time and place for it. No, it's not like that. Of course, I still couldn't forgive what she'd done. But somehow, my anger and my will to resist her were gone. Was it because I wasn't as nervous now that she wasn't staring at me? Or because I'd heard about what happened to her sister? Somehow, I felt like she wasn't actually going to hurt me. I felt incredibly sleepy. I decided to forget the pain in my arms from being tied up, and just give in to the sleepiness. I could figure out how to escape later. Fair, I guess. I woke up and felt something strange. Something was missing. That's how it felt. My eyes were still a little blurry as I looked around the room. When I tried to stand up, the cord stuck into my wrist, sending pain shooting through my arms. I remember that I was tied up, and it was the one who tied me up. I knew I wasn't here. That was what had felt so wrong. I was the only one here now. And where'd she gone? Did she make me... blah 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 blah. Did she go to make more food? Or to the bathroom? I had no idea how long ago you and I had been here, but neither she nor I had gone to school once during that time. Only times either of us left this room were either to cook or use the bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to take a shower. I let out a deep sigh. He was probably going to come back any minute now. Then she'd go right back to watching me. Did Eva just have a really persistent personality? Or was it her anger and rage at her sister's death that was driving her to act so bizarrely? How could I get her to understand that I wasn't Shogun? Maybe I could show her the message I received from him on my PC? But Eva was completely overtaken with her own delusions right now. A single email wouldn't change her mind. I needed something more definitive to prove that Shogun and I were separate people. If Shogun were to show up in my room, that'd do it. Of course, that'd be a problem on its own. I didn't want to see Shogun ever again. If he was here, that'd mean he'd come to kill me. Hey, hey, Taki. You should get out of here. I don't want to see that crazy stalker woman hurt you anymore.
たくないもん。
And thank you, Sarah. I don't think I can untie myself, though. I tried a bunch of times, of course, but I'd failed. NoAH had tied the knots tightly, and they weren't budging.
私が3次元になれ
If
たら
only I was 3D,
今す
I'd
ぐ
untie you
タッキ
right
ーを助けに
away.
行くのにな。
But it also felt like staying here was the right move anyway. Trying to run might make her mad. When she got mad, she was incredibly scary. I didn't want to do anything that might piss her off.
自分の命を
You're
守るため
thinking
に
of the
一番
best
い
way
い
to keep
方
yourself
法をちゃん
alive,
と考
huh?
えてる
You're
んだね。
amazing,
す
Taki.
ごいよタッ
Does that make him amazing? I'm not sure about that one.
キー。だけど私さ、
For my part,
これ以上
I
タ
don't
ッ
want to
キ
see
ーとあ
her in
の
the
女
same
が
room
同
with
じ
you
部屋にいるの
anymore.
は嫌だな。
No one cares what you think, Sarah. I didn't either, but tied up like this, I just have to rely on her. Fortunately, she hadn't hurt me yet, and she was feeding me and even letting me use the bathroom. She was still treating me like a human being. And as soon as she figured out that Shogun wasn't going to show up, she'd let me go. She'd probably apologize, actually. And when that happened, I did make her get on her knees and beg for forgiveness, of course. I'd also make her let me touch her boobs or something, too. Priorities, buddy. Then we call it even. You would never appear in front of me again, and I'd never go to see her again either. If nothing else, she'd cease to be a threat, and if I was lucky, maybe I could even bring her over to my side. The real Shogun was still lurking out there. If I was really lucky, I could get Yua to protect me from him. And she hated the person behind the new gen killings. The enemy of my enemy was my friend. She and I wanted the same thing.
僕
I'm really smart,
頭
aren't
良
I?
くね
I'm a
天才だね
genius. No, you're not. Yep, you're a genius, Taki.
私さ、
I'm more in love with you than
好きに
ever.
なっちゃった。
Yeah, the smart move now was just to hang in there. Okay. She sure was late, though. There was still no sign of her. Quite a lot of time had passed. Several hours, at least. Probably several hours, anyway. Where had she gone? It wasn't to the bathroom, if nothing else. But she'd been gone far too long for her shopping trip. She made several trips to the store to get food, and this was far longer than any of them. So where had she gone? School? I didn't know what time it was, but if it was daytime, she could easily have gone to school. And if I could look at my schedule, I would at least know what day it was. Say, for example, that she locked me up 3 days ago, and the first day was a Friday. In that case, the last 2 days would have been weekend. It would make sense that she hadn't gone to school. In that case, today would be Monday, then, and she would have left for school. That's right, yeah, it has to be. What day had it been when she'd broken in here? My mind was all hazy, and I couldn't think straight. What if it wasn't school, though? Like, maybe she'd gone home. I could see some dumb, slutty teenager sleeping over somewhere without telling her parents, but you didn't look like that type. Maybe she made up a lie or something to get their permission to not come home. But even so, after several days, they'd probably start to worry. So maybe she decided to head back home to reassure them? That theory made sense. Either way, she was sure to come back. My best move was probably to save my energy, to not move. I took a small deep breath and closed my eyes. Time to take a nap. I couldn't sleep. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep for several hours, but got nowhere. I kept looking at the door to see if Yua would come back. Occasionally, the door would shake a little when there was a particularly strong gust of wind, and look up at it, hoping that Yua had come back. There was still no sign of her at all, though. I was tied up and alone here in my shipping crate. She was so late that I decided to see if I could break my bonds. I was bound to the bedpost by nylon cords. If I struggled hard enough, I might be able to break them. I yanked my arms forward hard. No good, and they weren't budging. Maybe I was just weak. Of course, I was a wimpy otaku kid. I spent all my time on the computer playing video games or reading the net. I wasn't going to be able to pull off any Hollywood heroics. I wasn't going to be able to break through them by force. I tried to think of another way. If I had a knife, or something like a knife, that might do it. But there's nothing like that anywhere. All I could see were magazines, or manga, or CDs, or discarded containers of food from the convenience store.
ダメだ。
Real good. I was such a loser, I couldn't even cut a nylon cord on my own.
ユア
And
は
he was going to come back,
戻ってくるよね。
I whispered aloud, as if trying to convince myself.
ねえねえ
Hey,
タッキ
hey,
ー
Taki.
もしかしてさ
Do you think maybe she
見捨
just
てられたん
abandoned
じゃ
you?
ない
Abandoned me? You mean she just left me here? She wasn't coming back? I needed her to come back. Badly. I was helpless tied up here on my own. If she was going to tie me up, she at least had to take responsibility for keeping me alive, right? I was overthinking things. She hadn't abandoned me. She would come back. She hadn't found out who was Shogun yet. She wouldn't give up this soon. Yua wouldn't abandon me. I'd be just fine.
知ってる
Don't
そういう
you
のっ
know?
てさ
They call that
ストックホル
Stockholm
ム症候群って
syndrome.
言うんよ
Of course, I knew what the phrase meant. But this wasn't that. I didn't have Stockholm syndrome. I wasn't dependent on her in any way. Uh-huh. I didn't feel close to that crazy bitch in the slightest.
僕もつい最近
Weren't you
ナナ
thinking to
ミのこと
yourself,
があったから
after what had
ユアの
happened
気
to
持ちは
Nanami,
わからな
you
く
could
も
kind of
ない
understand how she felt?
脳内で妄想してなかったっけ
Was I lying to myself? Was I trying to force myself to think that Yua was safe to be around? Stockholm Syndrome is rather notably complete BS, but also, dude, yeah. Maybe I was. Stockholm Syndrome involved your mind lying to itself to keep you safe. But so what if I was lying to myself? In this situation, I didn't have any choice but to rely on Yua. Rumi had ditched me, and there were no sign of Nanami lately, either. My parents were, according to Nanami, worried about me, but they hadn't actually come to see me, not even once. The only other person who I knew lived up here was Yua. Yua was the only one I could rely on anymore. If it was a lie, it was a necessary one I needed to keep me alive. I didn't want to die, and I didn't want to Yua to hurt me, but I didn't have the courage to fight back with force. I had to cling to her for help. It was my only option. I had to keep being defenseless up until she understood that I wasn't a threat. It was the only way for a helpless loser like me to survive. I would believe in Yua, and believing in her meant lying to myself. That was what it would have to take me to get out the blah 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 blah. And that was what it would take to get me out of this safely.
あんなストーカ
I
ー
can't
メガネ女を
believe in that
信じちゃ
crazy
ダメ
glasses
だ
girl.
よ
Taki, you're being stupid. Sorry, Serotan. This is the one time I can't listen to what you have to say. I'm sure there's plenty of other times, but that's okay. So please, come back soon, Yua. You'll come back, right? It happened out of nowhere. The door suddenly flung open, with no warning. I flinched away from the sudden sound. I could see the sky outside was turning to the color of evening. Yua came inside, placing herself between me and the twilight. I felt so relieved when I saw her. Knowing that she hadn't abandoned me made me so happy, I thought I might cry. I hated myself for being so weak, but the sense of relief was far stronger than the hate.
おかえり。
Welcome back. It was all I had, so I said it, even though I knew how stupid it sounded. But
あなた邪魔だわ
you're in the way,
西条
Nishijo.
君
Huh? Yua strode over to me, crouched down to my left and grabbed my hair. She pulled hard.
邪魔なの。
You're in the way.
あなたがいなければ
If you weren't here,
将軍は出てくるは
Shogun
ずな
would
のに。
appear.
なんでいるの？
Why are you here?
自重してよ。
Go away.
少し引っ込んで。
Disappear for a little while.
あなたと話してもいいの？
Talking to you is a waste of time.
私はあなたと
I
話したい
don't
ん
want
じ
to
ゃない。
talk to you.
出して。
Bring him out.
将軍を出しなさい
Bring
よ。
out Shogun. Something was wrong with you, Was she starting to run out of patience? Was it because Shogun was nowhere to be found? Was she about to resort to more forceful measures? This isn't what I expected at all. I believed in her. I believed she wasn't going to hurt me. Was she going to betray me again? I was the only one who thought there was betrayal going on here. I realized the truth. I've been trusting her for no reason. You had never asked me to trust in her at all. Was I just being naive? Because I wasn't a otaku and a loser? Because I wasn't used to dealing with people in the real world, I deserved to be deceived? Well, if that was true, then I didn't need a 3D world at all. I'd rather stay in the 2D world forever.
見て。
Look. She shoved something in front of my face. It looked like a notebook.
妹の日記です。
My little sister's diary.
家に戻って取ってき
I
た
went
ん
home
です
to get it.
これを読んであなたは
You
知る
should
べ
read
きで
it
す。
and know what it says.
妹は
Even before the group died, my sister Mia was being targeted by you.
あなたに
No, by Shogun.
将軍に狙われていたんです。
Before.
ストーカーされていたん
He
で
was
すよ。
stalking her.
だから
The purpose of the group dive
5人を
wasn't to
殺す
kill
のが目
5
的だったん
people.
じゃない。
The others were just
他
an
の4人は
extra.
巻き
The
添え。
only target was
左
Mia.
はミヤちゃん一人だった。そうでしょ。
I'm right,
そう
aren't
よ
I?
ね、将軍。
Aren't I, Shogun?
答えて。
Answer me.
出てきて。答えな
Come
さい。
out and answer me. Mia's voice was gradually becoming more and more hysterical. My heart was pounding with fear. I was shaking. No matter what happened, I could admit that she was right. All of this was her delusion. She was making it all up. I never even met her little sister. I tried to shake my head, but the pain from her pulling my hair made it so I couldn't.
まだ出てこないつも
I
り
still
です
not
か。
going to come out. Her face got closer and closer. She whispered in my ear. And then she brought the diary up to eye level.
で、
Look,
ミヤちゃんの
see?
苦しみを野
Mia's
菜。
pain. Is that why it says Yuva's diary? Oh dear. She forced my head upwards. She flipped through the pages with her free hand. And when I saw what was written there, I froze. What the hell was this? What was this?
日記の最後のページ。
The last page of her diary.
ミヤの
The last
最後
thing
に
she ever
残した
wrote.
その
Whose eyes
Darren.
are those?
日付は
And the date,
9月6日。
September 6th.
集団ダイブ
The
で
day
ミヤを
before
殺
she
され
died
た
in the
前
group
日です。
dive.
将軍だ。
Shogun!
あいつ
He was reading my
思
mind!
考盗撮されてたんだ。
思考盗撮
What
っ
do
て
you
何？
mean, reading your mind?
違うでしょ。
That's not true, is it?
違うわ。
No.
ストーカーされていたん
He
だ。
was stalking her.
将軍に
Shogun was stalking her.
あなたに
You were stalking her.
僕は
Not Shogun!
あなたの中にいる将軍
Shogun is
にです。
inside you.
だ
I
から
keep telling you! Shogun is somebody else!
将軍は西条
Shogun is
匠
talking
で
me
す。
Nichijou.
言い逃れしないで。
Don't try to talk your way out of this.
その目誰の
Whose eyes are
と
those?
いうあ
That
な
was
たが
what you
昔
wrote
書
in
い
your
た
essay
作
years
がその
ago.
証拠です。
That's proof.
他にもいくつもの
There's
状
other
況証拠
circumstantial
がある。
evidence too.
あなたしか考え
You're the
ら
only
れない。
person I can think of who it could be.
考えられないの
The
よ。
only person.
あなたじゃなきゃお
It
か
has
し
to
い。
be you.
妹は
You
あな
killed
た
my
に殺さ
sister.
れた。
No, I don't sleepwalk. I don't have the ID. Shogun is somebody else. He's not me. He's somebody else.
どう思う？
What do you think?
この日記を見て
What do you think? Now that you've seen this diary,
ミヤを追い詰
are
め
you happy? Now that you pushed her to the brink of insanity? Killed her?
こんな日記を書か
Are
せ
you
るぐら
happy
い
now that
追い
you
詰め
drove her
て
crazy?
満足。
So crazy she wrote all of this in her diary.
どうしてミアにこん
And
な
why
ひ
did
ど
you
いこと
do
をし
this
た
to
の？
Mia?
どうしてミアを
And
殺
why
した
did
の？
you kill Mia?
どうして？
Why? Stop making sounds.
ユア
You,
間違
you're
って
wrong. You're wrong about everything.
間違ってるのはあなたよ。
You're the one that's wrong.
あなたは人を殺
You
した。
killed people.
殺したじゃない。
You killed them.
人殺し。
Murder.
だって
But
こんに
this is your diary.
ユアの日記
You
じゃない
are.
か。
なんです？
You looked confused. But I'd clearly seen it. Just a moment ago. The words on the cover. And I read Yua's diary. I thought maybe I'd been mistaken or something, but you had just clearly said whose diary this was.
妹の日記で
My
す。
little sister's diary. Then why didn't the letters on the cover say Mia's diary?
これは
This is your
ユアの
diary.
日記だ。
It
表
says so
紙に
on the cover.
そう書いてある。
何言ってるの？
What are you talking about? She didn't even look at it.
これはミア
This
ちゃ
is
んのよ。
Mia's diary.
死んだミアちゃんの
My
日記。
dad's sister Mia's diary.
あなたに殺された
Mia,
ミアちゃ
the
ん。
girl you killed. Her diary.
ミアちゃんのなのよ。
It's Mia's.
ミアちゃんが書いた。
Mia wrote it.
死ぬ前に書い
Mia
た
wrote
の。
it before she died.
だったら
None. Look at
表
the
紙を
cover.
見てよ。
You would close the notebook and look down at it, unconcerned. Then she turned back to me.
やっぱりミア
This
ち
is
ゃんの
Mia's
日記だわ。
diary. Huh? You saw it. I just saw you looking at it. I saw you looking at the words Yua's diary. So why?
これはミアちゃんが書いた日記。
Mia wrote it.
私を騙そうとした
Did
の
you。try to lie to me?
騙されるわけないで
You
しょ。
can't trick me.
私はミアちゃんと
I
ずっ
lived
と
with
一緒
Mia
に
for
育
my
って
whole
きたんだから。生まれてからずっ
We
と
were
一緒だったん
together
だ
our
か
whole
ら。
lives.
あなたなんかよりずっ
I know
と
much more about Mia
私
than
の
you
方が
do.
ミアちゃんのことを知ってる。知ってるの。
I know her.
ユアには
Can't you
見
see
えない
it?
の。はっ
Look,
きり
it
書い
says
て
it
あるじゃ
right
ないか。
there.
それは
This
ユア
is
の
your
日記。
diary. Yua suddenly put her hands up to her temples. Her expression was twisted in pain.
違う。
No,
この日記
it
は
wasn't me
私じゃ
who
な
wrote
くて
this.
ミ
It
ア
was
ちゃんが。
Mia.
私
Me.
西条君に
There's no
自
way you
覚があ
could
るは
know.
ずないから。あなたは
You have
DID
the idea.
多重人
Dissociative
格なんで
identity
す。
disorder. Multiple personalities.
君は
Who are you?
誰だ。
私は
I'm
ユア。
Yua.
私は
I'm. Was she the one with the idea? Not me. I definitely thought that earlier.
楠木ミアなんて
Is Mia Kusunoki
実在する
even
の？
real? Do the police even publish the names of the victims in the group dive? All the victims were underage. Don't they usually try to keep the names of underage victims out of the media? Or maybe
ユアに双
Do
子
you
の
even
妹なん
have
て
a younger
本当にいた
sister?
の。
Maybe Mia Kusunoki was real, but maybe Mia Kusunoki wasn't actually Yua Kusunoki's twin. Maybe they both had really similar names, but they were completely different people.
ヒルア。
I do! Yua suddenly started to strangle me. Her fingers were thin and frail, but her strength was incredible. I couldn't breathe.
いたわよ。
I did!
ミアちゃんは確かにいた。
Mia was my sister.
はっきり覚えてるも
I
の。
remember her clearly.
証明
Can you prove
で
it?
きるの？
Yua relaxed her fingers.
自分は
Can you Prove
DID
you
じゃない
don't
って
have DID.
証明できるの？
Can you prove you don't have DID in general? Let's not think about this right now.
須の君やじゃないって
Can you prove you're not
証明できるの？
Miya Kusunoki? I couldn't. I've only been able to be sure that I wasn't Shogun when the real Shogun had shown up in front of me.
できるわ。
I can. Mia's hand moved away from my throat. She threw down the notebook.
みやちゃんには
Mia had a
ほくろ
mole.
があった。
She began to take off her top.
左胸の下、
Below her left
そこに
breast,
ほくろがあった。
there was a mole there.
私には
A
ない。
mole that I didn't
ほくろ。
have. Slowly, fumblingly, she began to undo the buttons one by one. She took off her bra too. She hid her large chest with her hands as she tried to look under her left breast. I looked too, and I could see that there was a mole there.
ある。
It's there.
あるよ。
It's there.
どうして
Why?
私には
I'm not
ほ
supposed
く
to
ろは
have
な
a
いは
mole
ずなの
there.
に。私、
Who am I?
誰？
Her face was pale and her lips were shaking. Her vision was darting around her. She wrapped her arms around her body, her top still exposed.
私は
I'm
ユア。
Yua.
私はずっ
I
といい
was
子で
always the good girl.
みやちゃんはずっと
Mia
悪い
was
子で
always the bad girl.
私はずっといい
I
子
always
になり
wanted
た
to
く
be
て
the good girl.
みやちゃんはユア
Mia
ちゃんが
always
大好
loved
きで
Yua.
ユアちゃんはみ
Yua
や
was
ちゃんが
always
心
worried
配
about
で
Mia. Nothing she was saying made any sense. I shivered. But I didn't feel like running away and leaving her alone. I knew what she was going through. I'd experienced the exact same thing myself, quite recently. Ever since Iwaha told me I had DID, my whole life had felt unstable, so I understood. I knew how it felt to have your whole identity come crashing down around you. I didn't know if it was DID or something else. But there was something wrong with Yua. There had been for a long time. Her personality changed too drastically from one moment to the next for it to be an act. I remembered thinking that the gap between when she'd first spoken to me and when she'd snapped had been way too big for them to be the same person.
ユアは
Yua, do
DID
you
な
have
んじゃ。
DID?
違う
No.
ちゃんといた
She was real.
ちゃんといた
She was real.
Mia
Mia was my
ちゃんはちゃんと
sister. Yua reached into her jacket pocket, still covering her chest with one hand. She took out her phone and pulled something up for me to see.
見て
Look,
ここにいるで
she's
しょ
right here, right?
私たちがいるでしょ
We're right here, right?
あ
She was. There were two of them. It didn't look like it could have been digitally altered. You could tell they were twins. They looked almost exactly alike. The only difference was the glasses. Even their hairstyles were the same.
私は
I'm
私よ
here.
私は
I'm
こ
right
こにい
here.
る
君はどっ
Which
ちなんだ？
are you?
私は
I'm. She pointed. To the left. And then the floor began to violently shake. An earthquake? It was bigger than the last one. There was a violent ringing in my ears, a high-pitched sound that threatened to split open my head. Yua covered her head with her hands and curled up into a ball. I wanted to do the same, but I couldn't move my hands. It was like thousands of tiny needles being stabbed into my ears. And then... with a terrible impact, my vision turned white.
あの日
We
私た
switched
ちは入れ
places
替わっ
that
た
day. There were a lot of students in Shibuya McDee's that night. The girls were talking and having fun, and occasionally breaking into high-pitched laughter. I took a look outside the window and then got out my phone. September 7th, 5:02 p.m. She was 2 minutes late. I felt a little annoyed as I took a bite of my chicken sandwich.
ごめん、みやちゃん。
Sorry, Mia.
待たせちゃった？
Did you wait long? Yuba appeared holding a tray in one hand. She sat across from me and took a small deep breath.
うん、待っ
Yeah,
た。
I did.
5分くらいお待
And
ちしてほし
jeez,
い
I
な。
wasn't even 5 minutes late.
みやちゃん
Oh,
も
you
チキン
got a
バーガ
chicken
ー？
sandwich?
私も
Me
だ
too.
よ。
She pointed to the chicken sandwich on her tray. We were twins, so of course, our tastes were pretty much the same. She didn't need to point it out every time, but still, she looked happy.
みやちゃんとこうして
This
渋
is
谷
the
で会
first
う
time
のっ
we've
て
ever hung
初
out
め
like
てだよ
this in
ね。
Shibuya, huh? My school wasn't in Shibuya, and I could always see her at home. I never had a reason to come to Shibuya after school to see her.
私にお願いしたいこ
And
と
so what
っ
did
て
you want me
何？
to do?
私に
I'll
でき
do
ることな
anything
ら
I
何で
can.
も言ってね。
I finished my chicken sandwich and took a gulp of my iced tea before leaning toward her.
実は
You see,
これから
I'm about
人
to
と会
go
うんだ
meet
けど。
some people.
彼氏？
A boyfriend.
そんなんじゃない。
Not like
今まで
that.
一度も会ったこ
People
と
I've
ない
never
人
met
たち。
before.
たちって何
How
人？
many?
4人かな。
Four, I guess.
どういう関係なの？
Where do you know them from?
ネットで知り合った人。
We met online.
別に
That's
やまし
nothing
い関
weird
係と
though.
かじゃないから。
There's this site that's
アニ
kind
メ
of
のファ
like
ン
an
サイトみたい
anime
な掲
fan
示板
site.
があるんだけど、
We met there.
そこで。へえ。
Huh?
私、
I never
イン
used
タ
the
ーネットなん
internet,
て
so I
全く
don't
やらな
really
いから
know
よ
how
くわ
that
からないけ
works.
ど、
Is
そう
it
や
common to
って
meet up
ネッ
with
トで知
people
り合う
like
ことっ
that?
てよくあるの？まあね。
Yeah,
でも
kind of.
オフ会は
But I've
私
never
も
done
初
it
めてで。
before.
みえちゃん、人見知りだ
You're
もん
pretty
ね。
shy, Mia.
人見知りじゃな
I'm
い。
not shy.
人に合
I
わ
just
すの
have
が苦
trouble
手なだ
getting
け。
along with people.
そういう
Sure.
ことにしておい
If
て
you
あ
say
げる。
so. So are you going to be okay?
大丈夫な
Do you
の？
think you can talk to
初
them
めて
even
の
though
人
it's
た
your
ち
first
相
time
手
meeting
にうま
them?
く話せそう？本当は会おうと
I
思って
was
たんだけど、
planning on it, but
今になっ
now
てやっぱり怖くなっちゃったんだ。
you got cold feet.
めんどくさくなっただ
I
け。
just don't feel like
で
bothering.
も
That's
ド
all.
タキャンするのも
But I
悪い
don't
し、
want to just bail on them with
だから
no notice, so.
私が代わりに行け
You
ばい
want
い
me
の
to go
ね。
in your place, huh? Nua was sharp. She usually knew what I was going to say before I said it. Sometimes she could get on my nerves that way. But today, I was happy that I didn't need to explain anything to her.
そういうこと。
Yeah.
お
Can
願い
you help me
し
out?
ていい？別にいいけど、
Sure.
みやちゃん
But are
は
you
それでい
sure
いの？
about this? This is your
友達を
chance
作
to
れる
make
チャン
some
スなのに。
friends.
そんな小学生みたい
Don't
な
treat
扱
me
いし
like
ない
a
でよ。
little girl.
別に友達を
I
作り
don't
たい
need
わけじゃないし。
friends.
もう、みやちゃん
Aw,
は本
you
当
can
に
be
意
so
地っ張りなん
stubborn
だから。
sometimes.
言
Will
って
you
くれ
do
る？
it?
わかった。
Yeah, sure.
私は
You want me to be a
楠木
perfect
み
double
や
of
にな
Mia
りきればいいんだ
Kusunoki,
よね。
right?
そこまでしなくてもいい
You
け
don't
ど。
need to go that far.
どうせならとことんやった
If you're
方が
going
面
to do
白い
it,
じゃな
it'll
い。
be more fun to go
So
all
that-
the way.
制服も
I
入れ
know,
たいよ
let's
よ。
switch uniforms.
なんでそんなにはしゃいでる
Why are
の？
you so excited?
みやちゃんから頼み事さ
You
れる
never
なんて
asked me to do
めった
anything
にな
for
いで
you,
しょ？
so I'm
だから
happy.
嬉しいの。ゆあちゃん、バカみ
Yua,
たい。
you look kind of stupid.
どうせバカなお
Well,
姉さん
I
の
may
不
be
良
stupid,
だ。
but I'm still your big sister.
ほら、そう
Come on,
決まれば着替
let's
え
go
ちゃおうよ。
change. Yua grabbed my hand. And pulled me into a bathroom stall, where we switched everything we owned.
みやちゃん、水
Mia,
泳の
you
制
look
服
good
似
in
合う
that
ね。
Suime
と
uniform.
お父さん
I
やお
don't
母
think
さん
even
でも
Mom or
ど
Dad
っちが
could
どっち
tell
なの
us
か見
apart.
分けつかないよ。あ、でも、
Oh,
メガネ
but
かけ
with
て
the
たら一
glasses,
発でバレちゃう
it's
かな。
obvious I can just
これ
take
も
them
外
off,
して
or... No. I
今
don't think
は
I
ちょっと
can.
難
I won't
し
be
いか
able
も
to。see a thing.
何も見えなくなっちゃう。初対面の相手なんだ
I've
か
never
ら
met
ここま
these
でしなく
people
ても
before.
よかったのに。
You didn't have to go this far.
もうまだいけ
No,
るし。
are you still saying
待
that?
ち合わせの時
It's
間
almost
そろ
time
そ
for
ろ
the
なんでしょ？
meetup, right?
そ
Let's
れ
go
まで
over
打
the
ち合わ
plan
せ
with
し
the
てお
rest
こう
of
よ。
the time we got.
私、
I
ア
don't
ニ
know
メのこと
anything
ちっと
about
もわからない
anime.
けど、
What am I supposed to
何を
talk
話せばいい
about?
の？適当に相槌打って
I'm
れ
just
ばいい
playing
よ。
along with whatever they
どう
say.
せ一回こっき
I'm
り
never
しか
going
会
to
わ
see
ない
any
人
of
た
these
ちなんだ
people
し。
again.
そんなことないよ。
That's not
この出
true.
会いを通して
You
お
might
友
make
達付
some
き合いすることに
friends,
なる
right?
かもしれないでしょ。
You might even
もし
get
かした
a
ら
boyfriend.
彼氏もできちゃうかも。興味ない。
I don't want one.
あるくせに
Liar. If you didn't, you wouldn't have wanted to meet up with these people in the first place. What if she wants a girlfriend, Yua?
うるさいな
Shut up.
頑張って
I'll
楠
do my
木美也は
best
と
to
っ
make
て
them
も
all
いい子
think
です
that
って
Mia
いうのを
Kusunoki
印
is
象
a
付け
very
てくれ
good
ね
girl.
本当にそういうのいいっ
Please
てば
don't. Only make it harder to meet them a second time. I wasn't as social as Yua was.
それじゃ行って
Alright,
くるね
off I go.
よろしく
Thanks.
そこまで
Really?
頑張らなくてい
Don't
い
take
から
it too far.
はいはい
Right, right.
じゃあねみや
Bye,
ちゃん
Mia. Yua gave me a happy wave. She was wearing my uniform, carrying my bag, and then she disappeared into the Shibuya crowds. That was the last time I saw her. I went home and waited for her. Until I saw what happened on the news. I woke up with a splitting headache. The bed had fallen on top of me, I realized. I wasn't just feeling the pain from the headache, but the weight of the bed pressing onto my back. I couldn't move my head, so I moved my eyes to look around the room. Neo was slumped up against the wall. She'd been half naked before the quake, but now she put her clothes on, from the look of it. It was strange to see her without her glasses. Her glasses had fallen at my feet. The lenses had broken. Oh,
助け
me.
て紐
Inside
ほどいて
me.
よ
I called out to her, trying to fight the pain in my head. She looked at me with empty eyes.
思い出したの
I remember now. I didn't really care what she remembered, though. Just untie me. I can't move with this thing on top of me.
思い出したのよ
I remember. She slowly stood up. She wasn't wearing her glasses, but even in the darkness, she could see clearly enough to untie the knots holding me. Finally free, I managed to crawl out from under the bed. But that was all I could do. Just like the last earthquake, this one had left me with a splitting headache. It hurt too much to even stand. I was forced to crawl on the ground in pain.
ゆあちゃんだったのよ
It was Yua. She was whispering something to herself again.
集団ダイブで死んだの
It wasn't me that died in
Mia
the
じゃない
crowd dive.
ゆあちゃんだった
ユア
Yua.
何を
What are you?
私は
I'm
ゆあ
not
じゃない
Yua. She laughed.
私は
I'm
ミヤよ
Mia.
自分を
I just
ゆあちゃんだっ
convinced
て思い
myself
込
I
んでた
was
だけ
Yua.
あの日
We switched
私た
places
ちは入れ
that
替わっ
day,
たの
and Yua died.
それでゆあちゃんが
Actually,
死んだ
I was the one that was
本当は
supposed to die.
私が死ぬはずだったのに
Suddenly, an expression disappeared from her face. Her eyes were still empty. She offered me a hand.
西条くん
Nishijo,
もう将
I
軍の
don't
ことなん
care
て
about Shogun
どう
anymore.
でもよくなっちゃった結局
In the end,
ゆあちゃんは
I'm the
私
one
が
that
死なせ
killed
たような
her.
ものだからねえ
I want you to come with
一緒
me.
に来てほしい
どこへ
Where?
ゆあちゃんが死んだ場所
To the place where Yua died.
一緒
All
に
you have to do
来
is
てくれる
come,
だけでいいお願い
please. Please. And then I understood. Yua, no, Mia, was planning to die. I wasn't sure if I should try to stop her, but I realized nothing I said would make a difference. So I took her hand, and with her help, tried to stand up.
あ
There was a stabbing pain in my head. It felt like my vision was turning reed. Red, as in the color, is what was supposed to be there. I could feel the sound of the blood pumping through my head. Ka-thud, ka-thud. It hurt too much to move.
歩ける
Can you walk? Mia wrapped her arms around me to support me.
歩いてくれないと困るわ。
I need you to walk.
一緒
I
に
want
来て
you
ほ
to
しい
come
の。
with me.
私を助けると思って。
It would help me so much.
お願い。
Please. With her help, I managed to head toward Shibuya Station. Shibuya was now a city of death. There were bodies everywhere. Some were covered in blood. Some had severed limbs. Some had crushed heads. It was a scene out of a nightmare. There was nothing remaining of the brightly lit city I knew, only death and ash and despair. There were huge cracks in the asphalt roads, and the streets could have caved in at any time. Huge chunks of concrete had fallen off the buildings and were blocking the roads, making it impossible to travel in a straight line. But me and I kept walking, oblivious to the cries for help around us. We went toward the huge figure of the Cornelius Tower in the distance. The tower was mostly undamaged. Parts of the exterior were crumbling, but it had survived the earthquake and was still standing straight. As near as I could tell from the outside, all the lights were off. Maybe everybody had it already evacuated and was empty. As expected, there was no one in the lobby, and no electricity. The elevators weren't working. We were forced to use the emergency stairs instead. Cornelius Tower had 41 stories. It was 184 meters tall. I learned those 2 bits of trivia while researching the group dive case online. It was crazy to try and climb up all the stairs, especially since I could barely walk with this headache. But with Yua's help, I managed to start climbing the stairs, but one at a time as the sweat poured down my body.
お父さんとお母さんは
I think when I started
私が自
telling
分のこと
everyone I was
ユアちゃん
Yua,
だって言い出して
my mom and dad decided
気
to
を使
play
ってくれた
along.
んだと思う。私をユアとして
Maybe they
扱って
decided to treat me as Yua
Mia
and
が死んだ
tell
ことに
everyone
した
that
んだと
Mia
思う。
was dead. Mia was talking to herself. I just listened. No, maybe I didn't even need to listen. I felt like she wasn't talking so that I could hear her.
昔からそうだった。
And that's always how it was.
私は
I was
生
always
意
the
気な
little
娘だった
brat.
から。両親はいつも
My parents
私を
always
腫れ
tried
物
to
にでも
avoid
触る
me.
かのように扱ったわ。ミアを死んだことに
And
す
the
るな
way
んて
they
ね。
treated Mia as a dead girl.
親はユアちゃんよ
Maybe
り
they
ミアに
wanted
死ん
Mia
でほし
dead
かったのか
instead
も
of
しれない。
Yua.
それも全部
But still,
私のせいだけど
it's all my fault. My
自
fault
分がユア
for
ちゃんだと
convincing
思い込んだ
myself I was Yua.
私のせいよ。ユアちゃんが死んだみたいに
I should die. Just like she
私も死
died.
ねばいいのよ。
ユアは
What
ど
was
どんな人だっ
Yua
た？
like?
憧れ
I always looked up to her. I was jealous
羨まし
of
かっ
her.
た。
Sometimes she made
た
me
まにイラ
mad,
ついたりした
but
け
I
ど
didn't hate her.
嫌いじゃなかった。むしろ
If
大好
anything,
きだった。
I loved her.
ユアちゃんのこと
I loved Yua.
大好きだった。
She was the one person who really
私の
understood
こ
me.
とを分かってくれるたった一人のかけがえのない人だったもの。ユアちゃんが笑顔でい
As
て
long
くれ
as
れ
Yua
ば
was happy,
私
I
は
was
どんな
happy.
に辛いことが
No
あって
matter
も
how
嬉
hard
しかった。
things got for me,
いつも私のことを
she
心配
was
してく
always
れたわ。
worried about me. I
心配
felt
さ
so
せてる
bad
の
for
が申し
making
訳なく
her
て
worried that
私は
sometimes
ついつ
I
い
would
目
be
く
mean
せ
to
してた。
her. But she was always so kind.
いつも優しくて。ユアちゃん
Yua. She wept silently as she walked up the stairs. Were they tears of regret, of sorrow, of guilt? And I couldn't tell. And the wind up on the heliport was stronger than I thought. You had a 360-degree view of the Shibuya night sky up here, but there was no beauty to be seen, only darkness. I could just barely make out Tokyo Tower and Roppongi Bills in the distance. Below us, the city of Shibuya was dead silent. There was almost no light. The darkness hid the shattered remains of the city. If it was daytime, I might have been astonished at the sight below me.
西条くん
Nishijo, would
もし
you...
よかったら
Mia let go of me and collapsed right to the
一
ground.
緒に
Would you
飛んでくれない
jump with me? She was staring out into the distance. Her hair was blowing in the wind and hiding her expression. I couldn't see the look on her face. I know that she'd come here to jump. She was going to follow after her sister. I knew exactly what my answer was.
やだ
Oh
ね
no. I don't want to
僕は
die.
死にたくない
Why would I want to
なんで
commit suicide
僕を監
along
禁し
with
た
the
女と
girl who tied
心
me
中
up?
しなくちゃいけないんだ
そう
I
言うと
thought
思っ
you'd
た
say that. She started to walk toward the edge of the heliport, staggering occasionally in the strong wind.
そうそう
Oh, right.
西条くんと
That
予約
Sarah
しに
figure
行っ
you
た
and I went
セイラちゃ
soon
んのフィギュア
reserved. And she suddenly stopped and turned around.
ちゃんと買ったのよ
I did end up buying it.
とても可愛くてセク
It
シ
was
ーだ
very
ね
cute. Very
すっかり
sexy.
気に入っちゃって
I really liked it.
私の部屋の
It's on my
机の
desk
上
in my
に飾って
room.
あるの
Her smile was frail. She... blah 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 blah. Why was she telling me this now?
そん
I
なこと
don't
言って
care what you tell me.
僕
I'm not giving
君に
you
同
any
情しない
sympathy.
同情なんて
I don't
求
want
めてないわ
sympathy.
それじゃ
Goodbye,
さよなら
Nishijo.
西条くん
I'm the man who killed me.
私を殺した人私も
I'm
ゆ
going
あ
to
ちゃん
be
の
with
とこ
you,
ろに行くね
Everything Nishijo said made perfect sense. It was strange, but what I felt was loneliness. A sad ache in the bottom of my heart. In the end, I was never able to prove for myself that he was Shogun. Maybe he was right, and I was wrong. Either way, there was no point in hating him anymore. If I hadn't asked Yua to take my place at the meetup, she wouldn't have died. She shouldn't have been the one to die. She was smart, pretty, she had lots of friends. Her parents loved her. But she died. Yua Kusunoki had died. And at the same time, Mia Kusunoki had disappeared. She became like a ghost. That was the choice I'd made. I didn't know if I was alive or dead anymore. Yua was gone too. I'd be better off dead. I stood on the edge of the heliport. This is where Yua and the other four had left to their deaths. I looked down and suddenly felt dizzy. There was barely any light below me, but still, I could feel just how high up I was. How had Yua felt when she jumped from this height? Was she scared? I'm sorry for making you scared. I'm going to be with you now. I'm going to suffer the same pain that you suffered. The pain I was supposed to suffer. I took a deep breath. My heart was at peace. I wasn't afraid to die. I spread out my hands like wings, closed my eyes. I stepped out into the empty air. The ground beneath me vanished. I fell. The world turned upside down. There was nothing left to hold me back. I was falling, but it felt like my body was rising. I could hear the roar of the wind. The ground was getting closer. I could see the asphalt below me, where Yua had hit the ground, where she'd landed, where every bone in her body had shattered, where her organs had exploded, her blood and brain matter had scattered everywhere. I don't want to die. Just a few moments ago, I thought I wasn't scared of death at all. But now I couldn't move. I felt terrified. I don't want to die. Yua had died, but I still wanted to live. My survival instincts took over me completely. I screamed. The scream came up from the bottom of my heart. I reached out frantically to the rapidly receding night sky. I knew that nobody was going to grab it. But still, I reached out. I wished. I kept screaming. I don't want to die. But nobody heard my cry. Nobody was there to offer me a hand. The ground was right there. No. I could feel the sensation of every bone in my body shattering, but it quickly disappeared. I found myself back on the roof of the Cornelius Tower once more. Nishijo was right in front of me. He wasn't looking at me, but he was offering me a hand. How? I jumped. I jumped and fell 180 meters, smashing my body against the ground. I stared at his hand, too stunned to even wipe away my tears.
気が
Are you satisfied? His voice was cold.
君に死な
I
れるの
can't have you
困るんだ。
dying on me.
まるで僕が
It would be
突き
like
落
I
としたみたいじゃない
pushed
か。
you, right?
僕は
I don't want
殺人
people to
犯
think
扱い
I'm
さ
a
れたくないんだ。
murderer.
私
I
落ちた
fell.
のに
I jumped.
自分で飛び降りたのに
妄想でも
Maybe
見
it was
てたん
just
じゃ
a
ない
delusion. Delusion. I couldn't believe a delusion could have pain and sensations that felt so real.
ねえ西尾君
Nishijo,
ゆあちゃんは
you have suffered like
あんな
that
痛い思
when
いを
she
して死ん
died,
だんだね
right?
なのに
But
私
I
ゆあちゃんと同
I
じ
tried to
痛みを
suffer
味
the
わおうとし
same
たのに
pain she did,
私
but
は死にたくないって思っ
I
ちゃったの
didn't want to die.
本来死ぬのは
I was the one
私
who
だ
was
ったのに
supposed to die. But I
死
didn't
に
want
たくないっ
to.
てもう
Can't jump like that again.
あの痛みを知ってしまった
After knowing that pain,
もう
I'm too scared.
怖くて飛べない私
What
どうすれ
do
ば
I
いいの
do?
か
You
今
just died right
君は
now
一度死んだ
when you jumped.
え
Huh?
ユアの痛みを知
You
った
know
な
the
ら
pain you all went
も
through.
うそれでいい
Isn't
じゃ
that
ないか
enough?
これからは
From now on,
もう一度
you can
巣の
start
組
over
合と
as
して
Miya Kusunoki
一から生きていけばいいと思うユアの
for
分
you
ま
was
で
sick too.
ありがとう
Thank you.
ありが
Thank you. I reached out and took his hand. It was so very, very warm. I could feel the warmth of his body through his skin. The warmth made me stop shivering. That was honestly kind of cute. That was a kind of cute ending. Damn, that was a lot. A lot of questions got answered, so I think that might be a common pattern for the other routes, that like any questions there are about any of the other girls will be answered. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know. What thoughts do you guys have? You agree? Fair. No, the photo of them. Moon and sun end. Yay. Well, next time we do Chaos Head, We'll be getting a Yase's route, which is Fes. So that will be interesting. That'll be very interesting. Fes is special. We can put it that way. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add, to be honest. Kind of wrapped itself up pretty well. But yeah, I'll catch you all next time whenever you guys are able to join me again. Thank you for joining, as always. Until next time, bye-bye!